Welcome to the show. You're watching the Fox Business Network. We begin with the horrific crash at the border in Texas. At least 10 now dead. An overloaded human smuggling van. It was packed with 29 illegal immigrants. It crashed. 20 others injured. Now we had 30 illegals killed in 2 separate human smuggling crashes back in March. That happened in California and Texas. Back with us now, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. It's great to have you back on, sir. Can you explain to us what's going on here? Human smugglers recruiting young illegals to drive these smuggling vehicles? What's happening?
So that is what is happening, and it's pretty sad that people are having to die in these car crashes. It's not necessary that this happen. The President of the United States has invited this. He's largely responsible for the fact that this is happening and that we're going to see more of this. As time goes on, you're going to see more crashes. These cartels do not care about the safety of these people. They will do what it takes to make as much money, and these people are expendable. And the Biden administration knows that this is going to happen, and they know more of it's going to happen, and they're responsible for it.
So, sir, the smugglers are saying to the young illegals, you will cut your fee that we will charge you to come to cross the border as long as you drive these vans and cars. But if you're caught, you're going to get in trouble with us. So that's why they're turning Texas and border states, neighborhoods and communities into car chases, right? Is that what's happening?
Absolutely. We are becoming a cartel state. Any of the border states right now are being pretty much invaded by cartel people, whether people they've hired or the cartels themselves. And that's how it is when the border's open. They're making so much money doing this, billions of dollars. And the fact that Texas is experiencing this is not the end for the country. We're going to see more of this in other states, just as Ron DeSantis said in Florida. It's coming to the rest of the country.
All right, the border is a disaster area. It's a war zone, too. Florida and Texas, you know, your governor, they've had it with the White House. There's a big, legal fight now with the White House, with your state, and also with Florida. Human smugglers, Homeland Security official John Condon testified to Congress up to $6 billion human smuggling business for the cartels. That's higher than expected. That's why you're seeing an increase in human smuggling crashes. Sir, how does this square with the governor of Texas's executive order that the Biden administration is now suing to stop? The governor is saying, we want the police to stop these vehicles crossing with migrants from over the border. How does this fit into this story?
You know, the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, is merely trying to protect the citizens of the state of Texas from what President Biden is allowing, which is a lot of crime and the spread of COVID. And so he has authorized our local law enforcement and our state police to stop these people from coming into our state and to take them back if they're not with other law enforcement. It's merely designed to protect our citizens from the spread of COVID, which is actually happening at a high rate now.
Yeah, and you know, the White House is saying this violates the constitutional supremacy clause for the federal government to decide what happens with the border. But this fight could end up in the Supreme Court. You know, sir, I like your reaction to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He's going after the White House. The president's saying that, quote, if you're not going to help Governor DeSantis, get out of the way. Now, watch Governor DeSantis on this. He's saying the president is, quote, facilitating the pandemic. Watch this.
This is a guy that ran for president saying he was going to shut down the virus. He wasn't going to shut down America or the economy. He'd shut down the virus. And yet, what is he doing? He's bringing in people from over 100 different countries across the southern border. Every variant on this planet, some we don't even know about, are absolutely coming into our country that way. And what they're doing is people are coming, and then they're farming them out all over the United States, putting them on buses, putting them on planes. And so when he's lecturing people about imposing COVID restrictions and lockdown policies on the one hand, and yet not only doing nothing to stop the border surge, but actually facilitating it on the other hand, he just loses all credibility when it comes to COVID.
What is the White House telling Texas about that, about what the governor of Florida is now saying? Because the Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, testified to Congress that the administration is not testing or tracking migrants crossing the border for COVID.
Well, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is actually right. He has actually been in our state. He's been on the border more than the president of the United States, which you'd think the Florida governor would be here less. But the reality is he's actually been here, seen what's going on. He's absolutely right. The president, I think, is a super spreader of COVID. There's probably no bigger spreader than the president. When you create an open border, when you know there's a health risk with COVID and the variants, and you allow these people to cross over, and look, if you're an American citizen, you can't cross the border with COVID. You are tested, and if you have COVID, you can't come into your own country. And yet, the president, our super spreader president, is letting these people in, and then once they're in, spreading COVID all around the country.
Got it. Thank you, Attorney General Ken Paxton. It's good to see you.